everybody, welcome back to theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Again, that website address for you, in case you don't already know what it is, it's theclinicaltrialsguru.com. My name is Dan Sfera. You can send me questions anytime, Dan at theclinicaltrialsguru.com. I will answer you rapidly, or at least I will try. In addition, you can look for me on every social network you can think of. And if you're new, by the way, first of all, welcome, thank you. Make sure you subscribe. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. If you're on the blog, subscribe. I'm getting ready to do a giveaway very, very soon. I won't announce it when. I won't announce yet when I'm going to do it, but it's coming up soon. For those of you watching in the future, you might still have time. It's March 24th, 2015 right now. So I'm thinking maybe around May, I'll do a pretty big promotion giveaway. So, today's question from someone who sent me an email at dan@theclinicaltrialsguru.com is all about advertising and patient recruitment. So they have a particularly challenging study that does not have an advertising budget. The sponsors actually told them, hey, we are not planning on giving an advertising budget because we don't necessarily want you guys advertising. We want you guys recruiting from your own database. Well, that's all fine and dandy, and as you know, sites usually say whatever they think needs to be said in order to get the study. So chances are, during those discussions with the sponsor at the time of the site selection visit and during that process, the sponsor informed them that, hey, there's no advertising budget, you recruit patients from your own database, and that's what we want for the trial. The site was probably saying something like, yeah, sure, whatever you want, okay? But now, we're dealing with the actual practicality of this situation, which is the site has exhausted its ability to recruit from the database. The study is, like I said, particularly challenging. So what do? Well, you can run an ad. You have to find out where. First of all, I don't know what the indication is or anything. But it has to be IRB approved if you're going to get very specific about this study. And you might run into some issues there because the IRB may have been told by the sponsor that there won't be any need for advertisement. Now, a way around this, and it may not be that effective because you may not reach the people that you actually would qualify for the trial, but it may work. You might get lucky. You can run a generic ad like on Google AdWords, Facebook Dark Posts, the newspaper, Craigslist works, as long as you're not very specific about the study. If it's more advertising for your clinic, like let's say it's a study for Parkinson's. I'm just saying that because I recently ran a campaign for a Parkinson's trial at one of the sites. So let's say it's a study for Parkinson's. Well, I don't need IRB approval if I'm just saying, hey, this is site XYZ and we do clinical trials for Parkinson's amongst other indications. That's perfectly fine, and then you can say call or email to learn more. Perfectly fine. You're not actually recruiting for any particular trial. You're just promoting and advertising your site's capabilities to the general public. That's fine, but when you start getting into things like investigational product name, because some of these study ads allow you to use the name as long as it's IRB approved, particular details about the protocol like involuntary laughter or uncontrollable laughing or crying with Parkinson's. I mean, you're actually like in a very gray area there because that's not just a Parkinson's indication. You are actually recruiting for something more specific than that, and that would require IRB approval. So in your situation, you can do a generic ad where you're just talking about whatever indication it is that you're doing the study for and say our clinic does studies in this indication. You might get lucky on Google ads, Facebook ads, newspaper. So the other issue is you're taking on a lot of risk there because you're not getting reimbursed for these costs like you would in a traditional study where they have an advertising budget. So this is one of the reasons why you probably shouldn't take a study that you know you're probably not going to be able to recruit for, because you won't even be able to do things like advertise. Even if you wanted to pay for the ad yourself, you can try to run it by the IRB. If you have a central IRB, you can try to run a specific ad by them and say, hey, can we get this approved? They might say yes, then you're fine. But you run the risk of the sponsor maybe finding out, and then the sponsor's going to ask you, hey, why are you running ads? You indicated that you won't need to be running ads, and we selected you because you're not going to be running ads, and now you're running ads. So you run that risk there. So my practical solution is do a generic ad where you don't require IRB approval, and cross your fingers and pray, because that's really all you can do at this point. But you might get lucky, because if the difference is one study participant being enrolled versus 0, at least you have something to show for it. At least you've given the sponsor some kind of data for their trial, rather than producing a big fat 00, Robert Parrish. Okay, so thank you guys for watching. Subscribe, send your questions in, and be very careful at these site selection visits and throughout the entire feasibility process, because you may end up in a situation like this and there's no real way to get out of it. Alright, so hopefully that helps. Let me know if it doesn't. This is Dan from theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Take care.